Welcome to the webinar. Please stand by. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the March 2nd Padre Dam Board of Directors meeting. I'm Bill Pommering, Board President, and this meeting is hereby called to order. Before requesting a roll call, I want to point out that this meeting is being held by video conference pursuant to Brown Act amendments. Instructions for the public to participate electronically and procedures for live and written public comments were included on today's agenda and posted on the district's website. I will inquire after each agenda item if there are any public comments or board questions. Following discussion, I will call for the motion and request the board secretary conduct roll call on all action items. Please provide a verbal motion and second. I will now ask that our board secretary conduct roll call.
Thank you, Director Pommering. This is Amy Peterson, the board secretary. Director Wilson?
Here, and I can hear you.
Thank you. Director Karras?
Yes, I can hear you.
Director Peasley?
I can hear you just fine, and I am here.
Okay, and Director Till at this time is absent, but we're expecting her shortly. And President Pommering?
I am here and I can hear as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. I now ask that everyone join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We now have the opportunity for public comment for items not on today's agenda. Amy, do we have any comments from the public?
Not received any written comments. We do have quite a few members of the public online. I'm waiting to see if anyone raises their hand. And I do not see any hands raised within the platform.
Okay, thank you very much. This is now the time for items to be added, withdrawn, or reordered on the agenda. Directors? Staff? I will note that we will hold off on item 3 if necessary for Director Till to arrive. We now move on to the consent agenda. Resolution recognizing John Teixeira on the occasion of his retirement. Do I have a motion for approval?
So move.
Motion by Director Karras, second by Director Peasley. Amy, do we have any comments?
We do not have any hands raised.
Okay, would you please call the roll?
Director Karras,
Yes.
Director Wilson,
Yes,
Director Peasley,
Yes,
Director Pomeroy.
Yes. That concludes the consent agenda. We will now move on to the action agenda. Item number 2, semi-annual report on the 2021-2022 strategic plan. That would be Melissa McChesney. Board members, please raise your hand if you have any questions during the presentation.
Good afternoon, and this is actually going to be a joint presentation. I think there are 7 of us presenting today. This is our annual report on the strategic plan. We provide report cards to the board twice a year, once at the end of the fiscal year, and then once at the beginning of the year. And at the beginning of each calendar year, we provide a presentation to the board on a couple of initiatives within each of the goals. So you'll see the 6 goals listed here. I also did want to mention, this is a 10-year plan from 2012 to 2022. And so we are in the last 6 months of that 10-year period. So we'll be wrapping up this current strategic plan at the end of this fiscal year. A quick reminder on the scorecards. This is what the scorecards look like. They are in your agenda report for each of the goals, and they do provide a status update that's color-coded in the column with the circles, and then they also provide an update on the comments through the comments that you see off onto the right. These scorecards are provided to the public on the district's website once each 6-month report has been provided to the board. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to goal number 1.
Thank you, Melissa. Good afternoon, board members. Paul Clark, the Director of Operations and Water Quality. And I'll be providing an update on goal number 1. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about infrastructure security and emergency preparedness. Legislation was passed at the federal level. The EPA came out with regulations for the America's Water Infrastructure Act of 2018, otherwise known as AWIA. And what this act required is any water systems with over 3,300 service connections conduct a risk and resiliency assessment. Padre Dam partnered with Black & Veatch, and they assist us through this effort for the risk and resiliency assessment. That was an effort that involved engineering, safety and risk, operations, GIS, and IT. We completed that and certified that with the EPA in 2020, December of 2020. And from that risk and resiliency assessment, you are required to update your emergency response plan. We did that in the last 6 months, well, 9 months ago now. We completed that effort and certified that in June of last year. In November of 2021, our safety and risk manager held a simulated emergency operations exercise with all the EOC managers and plans to conduct a tabletop exercise in May of this year. Next, I'd like to talk about maintaining and renewing assets. One project that we're currently working on with the GIS and the IT group is a sewer system application. That's going to allow us to track our maintenance in the sewer system when it comes to cleaning, sewer flushing, and CCTV. Basically, what this is going to consist of is the operator in the field will have a tablet. They'll be able to click on the manhole or infrastructure or the line that they're cleaning, and it will pop up. All the data in the field will pop up with the information related to, say, that manhole.
vehicles. And that's going to replace currently it's a pen and paper, the operators are writing all this down by hand to bring it back to the office. It's going to create some efficiencies and save some
President
time.
Palmer? This is Paula. For those of us on participating virtually, it's very difficult to hear Paul. All of a sudden it cut off and now he sounds very muffled. The volume was good until about 30 seconds ago.
Technical problems in here.
Can barely hear it.
Working on restore now.
Yeah.
Oh, you took down the system.
Everyone will please bear with us. I think you heard we're having some technical difficulties.
Can you hear us clear now?
We're good now.
We're good now? Is Paula back?
Paul is back up there.
Paula?
I've been here the whole time.
Now I can hear you. I think the rest of us can hear you now.
Yeah, I was just communicating that there was a problem. All of a sudden, Paul, during his discussion, he cut out and then it was very muffled, but I'm thinking things are better now.
Okay. Thank you for pointing that out. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Paul, would you like to continue or just?
I'll continue. Paula, you can hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Those of us participating virtually can hear you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, the next item I'm going to talk about is fleet management software upgrades. We currently use the collective data fleet software. We're in the process of upgrading that to the latest version. And this is the software that tracks all of the mechanics, maintenance activities on the vehicles and equipment in the fleet. This is oil changes, tire replacements, vehicle recalls, those sorts of things. In addition to that, we have a Verizon Connect telematics product. This is a product that provides data location services, vehicle health reports, and data back to a central location, as well as it's going to automate our pre-trip inspections on the larger vehicles and equipment. And then third, we have the fluids management software. That's going to be the software that manages our fueling station, all the bulk fuels, transmission fluids, motor oils, that sort of thing. All these will feed back into the collective fleet software. And then coming up, and we've been working on the specifications for the ops yard and CSC security improvements. This is going to come to the board here in the next couple of months, and that's going to be consolidating all the buildings on this campus, the Alpine Yard and the WRF. And this is the access controls, the fire monitoring, the fire sensing equipment, as well as the security cameras on the campus. And we expect to see a significant savings when we consolidate all of these programs. That is all I have. If there's any questions.
Board members, any questions for Paul? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Karen, hi.
Good afternoon.
There's a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Director Wilson, do you have a question?
I just wanted to ask Paul about that picture with the laser. That almost looks like it's in operations. Where is that?
That is at Park One Apartments over by Town Center.
Okay.
A U-Haul truck ran into a fire hydrant over there.
Yeah, that doesn't work well usually. So thank you.
No. And I put that picture in there because that's one of the things that the telematics is going to help us. It'll tell us who's close to an incident like that, and we can dispatch a particular vehicle or crew member to take care of that in a quick manner.
It certainly shows the power of water.
Very powerful.
President Palmer, the same thing happened again.
Yeah, we can't hear.
The system switches off.
No, so every time the camera dies, we're losing audio. So when you see the boardroom camera disappear, we're losing audio.
Yeah.
We haven't experienced this before, so bear with us while we're troubleshooting.
This room.
That's
So we can
okay.
try to
I
figure
think we
something out.
could manage
So
that.
I'm gonna, that'll still be the presenter.
They're trying not to use the system anymore?
Yeah, so it turns mute that. You wanna try it one more time?
Try it one more time while you get that set up.
Okay. We should be clear.
No, no.
I don't see.
I have a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah, but the microphone's switched over. The whole system is switching.
Checking.
Idle for 2 months.
Oh, that's, yeah, we're totally out of practice here. I apologize.
Can those that are remote, can you hear us now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so
Start again.
yes, so Initiative 2.1, connect long-range planning to ensure adequate and reliable revenue stream. And so I'm highlighting the cost of service study because that's what we're working on now. This isn't forwarding. It's not turned on.
Hold on. Try again. Why do I see it here but not there? Let me see what they're.
You just push the button if you.
I don't even see it on this laptop now. Hold on, they're in the.
He walked away.
You broke it again.
Oh, it's because it just needs to be, just click on the presentation. I apologize. Go, carry on.
Switch it over.
Okay. So we engaged Raftellus to conduct a comprehensive cost of service study, which we're in the thick of it now. And what the cost of service study does is it determines the revenue requirement for each district operation based on our 5-year operating and capital budgets, customer demand forecasts and characteristics, and considers reserve and debt service coverage targets and requirements. And then from there, rates are set to meet the revenue requirement based on sound cost of service principles that comply with Prop 218 and achieve overall district objectives. And on the right-hand side, you can see the district objectives. There's a number of them. I won't go through them all, but it's really a balancing act between financial stability and affordability and conservation. So there's many things that come into play when setting the rates. But we're doing that in order to achieve Initiative 2.1.
Good afternoon, board members. Brian Kroom, IS Manager. I'm here to present on the technology initiative. What you see is a graphic representation of Padre Dam's cybersecurity framework, and I'm going to give a brief overview of each component, starting with identify. What are our critical assets? Critical assets exist in informational technology, IT, and operational technology, OT. IT contains district business, financial, and customer data systems. OT contains the operational technology used to operate and monitor the water recycling treatment plant and water distribution systems. Identifying vulnerabilities is key. The district is partnered with a number of cybersecurity organizations that provide alerts, advisories, and resources on developing threats. Software vendors provide updates that identify and mitigate vulnerabilities. Excuse me. The district's managed security service performs quarterly vulnerability assessments. These assessments include penetration tests on wired and wireless networks, servers, and social engineering attempts to test end user response. The district is not alone in cybersecurity battle. Resources include internal staff, managed security services, cybersecurity organizational memberships, and relationships with Water ISAC, MS ISAC, InfraGard, the San Diego County, the San Diego Law Enforcement Communication Center, and through our own cybersecurity insurance provider coordinated via SDRMA. These organizations provide a multitude of cyber resources to aid in all aspects of the district's cybersecurity framework. Protect. Data security is provided by network and access control utilizing logins and virtual private networks. Logins are required to use complex passwords and are changed quarterly. In addition, multi-factor authentication is required when accessing critical systems. IT systems are protected from unauthorized access through a next generation firewall. OT systems are protected from unauthorized access through a series of next generation firewalls. Email is monitored utilizing advanced threat protection and Exchange Online, and attachments and links are scanned a second time at the workstation level. Endpoints include PCs, laptops, tablets, and servers. Endpoint protection is provided by an anti-malware tool, which protects from data theft, viruses, malware, and spyware. Further protection comes from an advanced endpoint tool that not only provides additional anti-malware protection, but works in conjunction with the district's managed detection and response provider to isolate systems in case of a compromise. Firewalls and NDR systems are updated continuously with application and threat content signature. Cybersecurity awareness training and bulletins are made available to staff to keep them aware of threats and to be suspicious when something doesn't look quite right. Detection. Detection is performed at multiple levels. District firewalls monitor for and block network intrusion attempts. Continuous active threat detection is performed by a managed detection and response system. This system utilizes sensors and a security operations center that is staffed 24/7. As mentioned in the protect section, this system can identify and isolate an affected system and reduces the potential for other systems being compromised. Anti-malware software is installed on every system and is updated daily. System and server event logs are reviewed for anomalies and any indicators of compromise. Indicators of compromise can be obtained from published resources, managed security services, vendors, or by witnessing anomalous behavior. Ooh, no. And it all goes back. Thank you. If a compromise is detected, then we move to the response mode. Response planning takes form with a written plan as part of the district's overall emergency operations plan. These plans are exercised through simulation and emergency response tabletop exercises. Additional training and workshops are provided by the county and law enforcement agencies. Communication is critical, and reporting a cybersecurity incident can be as simple as utilizing the FBI's online reporting tools to report threatening email, or can be complex as a situation of a major system compromise where the district will need law enforcement assistance in recovery and to provide forensic support. Recovery. Recovery planning included putting together an approach to backup systems and disaster recovery that provides methods to recover from a compromise with minimal data loss and minimal downtime. Database backups and file level backups are run daily. Backups are stored on disk and on tape. Tapes are stored off-site and are rotated weekly. Servers are backed up daily and stored on disk as well as tape. This provides us the ability to recover entire servers to a point prior to compromise. In addition, this allows us to preserve compromised systems in a suspended state that can be provided to law enforcement for forensic analysis. The majority of the district systems are virtualized. Our virtualized environment is comprised of redundant systems which aids in quick recovery. In addition, we also perform data store snapshots. These snapshots are operating system independent and can be used to restore entire systems, including the data, to a point prior to compromise. For mitigation purposes, this approach helps us recover systems quickly. However, we still need to maintain the ability to rebuild systems when necessary. For non-virtualized servers, redundant standby systems are in place. For monetary impact due to a cyber incident, the district does have a cyber coverage policy under SDMRMA. In closing, as you can see, there are a lot of moving parts and components to Padre Dam's cybersecurity framework. This layered approach to protecting and preventing a cybersecurity incident involving any of our system is a result of the initiatives of the strategic and business plans. However, this is by no means a stopping point. This framework is intended to be refined, updated, and repeated. This concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Board members, do we have any questions? Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Melissa, back to you, I guess.
Back to me. I have goal number 3, enhance customer communications and education. Within these, the first initiative I'm going to cover is 3.1, and this initiative is to provide quality and responsive service to enhance the customer experience. So a couple of things I wanted to mention here for activities that have happened. We did do a customer survey, if you recall, back in kind of the summer time, summer into fall period, and we had 640 responses from our customers. That was to garner feedback for the upcoming 5-year strategic business plan. And then upcoming in the spring, we'll be doing community meetings related to the future 5-year strategic business plan and any future rates. The second initiative I'm going to cover is 3.4, which is to cultivate positive communications, relations, and partnerships, or it should be community, I apologize, community relations and partnerships. So the first project I wanted to touch on is that the district did receive some funding from the Metropolitan Water District, and it's called MAP funding or MAP projects. So the first photo that you see on there is some funding, or is the result of some of the funding that we received for that. And that was the Rios Elementary water bottle fill station. And this project was funded through that member agency administered program through Metropolitan, and allowed us to provide this water bottle filling station to that elementary school. We're currently working with the Santee School District to try to put in 3 additional water bottle filling stations out here in the Santee service area. As part of that program, they are required to have the signage that you see in there that talks about where the program came from and some of the different water benefits. The second program that we received funding for is the Northeast Landscape Remodel right outside the Customer Service Center here. And so we took out the entire older, over 10-year-old landscape that had kind of been overgrown and wasn't really looking very presentable to the public, as an example, and put in a new landscape out there to give customers a good idea of a sustainable, water efficient landscape. And so both of those programs were funded through the Metropolitan Water District. And then additionally on 3.4, I wanted to touch on some additional efforts we're doing to build those relationships and partnerships. The first is that we are increasing our state and federal efforts related to the East County Advanced Water Purification Project. We have 2 different contracts with Nossaman, and we are working with them on building up those federal as well as state relationships to potentially lead to future funding for that project. And we have completed multiple federal and state briefings over the last couple of months. In addition to that, we serve on Aqua's State Legislative Committee, which helps us to build up relationships and partnerships statewide with other colleagues and with multiple different officials on that statewide level to help pursue efforts that would be beneficial to our customers. And then lastly, that last image that you see on there is from our final event at the AWP demonstration facility before that facility went away, where we hosted a number of different local elected officials and their staff to come and learn more about the project as we move forward. With that, I turn it over to goal number 4. Do we have a question?
Oh, I'm sorry, Director Till.
Hi, just if you don't have to answer these now, but if you could send me, an email or something. First, how much does it cost for a water bottle refill station? All right, and you don't have to answer it now if you don't know, that's fine.
I believe each one was allocated at around $5,000.
Okay. And in the replant up front, were there any California native plants used?
Yes.
Okay, I'll have to go out and look at them. Great. And I just had a wonderful meeting with some leaders in Chula Vista, local leaders, and Senator Padilla has been very active and supportive. So, and again, you don't have to answer now. He's in San Diego County. He's looking. That's great. So I just want to know, where you are with Senator Padilla and in terms of interacting with them too.
So Senator Padilla was one of our briefings in December. I believe it was like December, I don't know, 2nd or 3rd off the top of my head. But we did brief his staff at that time, and they are very supportive of the project and will continue to be supportive. I believe there are some district boundary changes that are happening right now, but I believe that he is the one that we met with that is not directly within the service area of the project. And so we will continue.
Federal senator, California federal in Washington, D.C., Senator Padilla.
Yes, but we're also working with the other senators as well. So like we're working, I'll give you an example. We're working with Senator Feinstein's office as well on, she was one of our briefings, he was one of our briefings, and
is there any way of finding out if each of those senators is going to champion this project?
So right now we are looking at, on the federal side, we are looking at Sarah Jacobs and Daryl Issa as being 2 of the leaders that have really pushed their support for the project. Again, we have support across the board. I can't say that anyone has not supported the project along the way, but I can tell you that those are 2 champions. And from those 2, they both have some representation within the project service area, but Daryl Issa's office is likely the larger portion of the service area, and so they are likely going to take on a larger role in that support just because they have a larger portion of that service area. But we do continue to brief.
Okay, at some point, I would like to understand exactly the specifics of those 2 roles. And then again, if Senator Padilla is very active in San Diego County, I'd like to, explore that option too. Okay.
Yes, Mr. Carlisle.
I just want to point out we're in a little bit of a nuance here because the direction given to staff for this particularly the lobbying efforts is directed by the Joint Powers Authority, not this board.
Oh, not this board.
No.
What about infrastructure funds for Padre Dam out of the infrastructure bills?
That could be explored. Yeah, the board directs.
Okay, so are we reaching out for that or not?
We haven't had direction from the board to do that.
Okay, my comment is I'd like us to be considered for that.
Can we agendize that?
Sure.
Thank you.
Put it on the agenda. Thanks, Melissa. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Mark brought his own and he's going to use his own. So,
Hey,
as long as it was
specific instruction, I have just following instructions. So good afternoon. My name is Mark Nemec, Director of AWP. Here to talk about Goal 4, which is the water, wastewater, energy independence. An update on 2 of those initiatives. One is implementing the selected water supply projects. You can see there I broken it into 2 categories. The first is packages 1, 2, and 3. Those designs are very near completion of the 60% design documents, which then lends itself to starting easement acquisitions as we need for the pipelines, especially packages 2 and 3, which will have a linear component. Two dates that are really on our minds now and kind of milestone dates is April 8th. That's when we're receiving the final guaranteed maximum price from each of the packages 1, 2, and 3, the design builders. We're currently working through some of the draft GMPs, commercial terms of the agreement, and how that all impacts the general conditions. And so by April 8th, we'll have their final number to us. Doesn't mean that's the final. We will have time to negotiate as well. And we'll be negotiating along the way. We'll get those numbers. We will then update the pro forma model, the next version, the next round, interact with the JPA TAC members, continue negotiations, all in an effort to get to the May 19th JPA board meeting, looking to ask the board to move into phase 2, which is final design and construction. So those are the 2 dates we're really targeting right now, is April 8th and May 19th. And if all goes well, then we'll be looking at notice to proceed for phase 2, which is finalizing design and getting to some components of construction concurrently. That's the scheduled benefit of the design build, June of 2022. So right around the corner.
Good afternoon, President Pommering. The same issue just happened again.
Yep, we got it, Paula.
Okay.
Every time the camera goes out or where the audio's going, we have a backup going. Does it? Okay.
Okay.
You're either two, right?
You can clear that camera. I'm gonna make this the picture.
We're switching over to the left. So the rooms in here, the directors in here, and then you could make your voices. We're gonna bring it up there.
Yeah.
Try to restart.
Yep. I'm gonna get all that. Okay, on there's the angle, right?
Testing, can the remote users hear us?
Director Paisley, Director Wilson, Harris. Director Paisley, can you hear us?
Can someone say something so we can hear you?
We can hear you, but it's not as good as it was before.
That's correct. Amy's working on that issue.
Okay, but we can hear you.
Okay, that's good. If you can't, let me know. All the updates are gonna happen. Is it in presentation mode yet? Or I guess I gotta do it. Can I click it?
Paula, have a question?
I could still.
Paula, did you have a question or comment?
No, I just was pointing out that we could.
All right, well, we're back. Moving on to package 4. That's the package that proposes the project of the regional brine line. Working with the city of San Diego on this. We're currently in phase 1A. And what phase 1A really does is allows the design builder and the JPA to gather all the information necessary to inform the CEQA document, put it out there before we get into a design. And currently, we've completed the biological and cultural reports. The CEQA, which will be part of what they call a subsequent MND, it will be included Package 4 will be included in there. Package 2, any changes, and packages 1, 2, and 3, any changes that have occurred between the 30 and 60% design will also be captured in there. That will be going out for circulation in, I want to say, mid-April, and we'll be looking to bring that to the JPA board in August of 2022. Once that, oh, not good. Oh no, we're here now. Okay. Yeah.
Just one quick comment, board members, I can't see any of you at this time. So if you're raising your hand, there's nothing I can do until I get my video. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So looking to get to the board with the subsequent, the JPA board with the subsequent MND for adoption in August of 22, then that'll kick off phase 1B, which will be the, in a sense, the design phase. And then we would go to phase 2 beyond that, which would be construction. Ultimately, if all goes well, that timeframe will all sync up with packages 1, 2, and 3 and will be completed around the same time. But a lot of factors have to come in. The next initiative is 4.2.2, which is optimizing the utilization of available Title 22 water. So as part of this project, the new water recycling facility up there is going to generate Title 22 compliant tertiary effluent that meets all the state requirements. And we're going to use it for 3 separate sources. We're going to use that water off the filters. We're going to send it through the advanced treated facilities. We're going to, treat it to a very high level and send it to Lake Jennings. I'll say the grand goal of the project for the potable reuse. But also as part of that water coming off the advanced treated facilities, some of that will be sent to Santee Lakes as well to meet the Santee Lakes demands. And we've, recently, we just got our existing Ray Stoyer MPDS permit renewed. And they worked with us, allowing us to meet certain criteria that were a little bit more stringent than the previous permit on what they call a time schedule order. And that really allows this project to happen. And in a sense, we're going to be sending that reverse osmosis treated water through the lakes and being able to handle those higher performance requirements through the Sycamore Creek. And then the last portion of the water that comes off the tertiary filters will be sent to the existing, with some modifications, chlorine contact basin at the Ray Stoyer to continue to feed what we, a purple pipe system, our irrigation and the landscape customers. And that is my update. Any questions?
Questions, board?
This is Paula. Sorry, we cannot hear Director Till.
I'm sorry, Paula, go ahead.
She can't hear Director Till.
Okay, we'll hold up a moment.
Okay.
Oh.
They're restoring the camera. Hopefully we can go back. This speaker.
President Pommering? President Pommering? This is Paula D'Souza. We cannot hear. I thought we were on a break trying to deal with the technological issues. We cannot hear you at all. We haven't had any audio for about 2 minutes. I thought we were on a break trying to address the audio visual issues.
Okay. Oh, there you have a speaker.
Okay, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
I think so.
Amy, before Paula speaks, would you mind just checking with each director to make sure we can hear them and they can hear us?
Director Peasley, you can hear me? Will you say something so we can verify we can hear you?
Yes.
And Director Wilson?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect, thank you. Director Karas?
Yes.
And then, of course, Director Till is in the boardroom with us. Yeah.
Okay.
And I just want to explain, we haven't heard anything for about 2 minutes. I think the last person I saw at the podium was Mark. So the last time it broke down, I'm not sure if there was any more of his presentation that continued. I think the rest of us thought we were on a break as the audio issues were being resolved. Otherwise, I think we would have spoken up quicker.
Correct. We work on the audio issues, so nothing's been presented since.
May I proceed?
Perfect, thanks.
Paula, did you want us to go back to the end of Mark's presentation?
No, I think it was all addressed. That's when everything shut down and then, okay.
Well, I apologize. I can't say that it isn't going to happen again, but we've been having technical difficulties, so we'll do our best. Lisa, please begin again.
My name is Lisa Sorcy. I'm the Director of Human Resources, and I'm here today to talk about goal number 5 and 2 initiatives within that goal. The first one is to develop and train our future leaders here at Padre Dam. As I was saying, there's been some challenges with doing that in person due to COVID, but we've been able to maintain online training, which I actually think holds a lot of value because it's on demand. It's whenever it works for the employee. So we have Franklin Covey All Access Pass, which is available to all of our leadership here at the district, from supervisors and leads all the way up to the directors. And they're assigned training annually based on their level in the organization and what might be good for them at that time. And then also we were able to give every employee a Lead on Purpose workbook this year to work through independently on their own. So we are still continuing
to try and develop and train the future leaders. And hopefully this year we'll be able to bring back some more of the in-person training, which I also think is very valuable. The second portion of my goal is recruit and retain. And so I have the numbers there on the screen of the number of hires we did in 2021, and that the light blue is the external hires and the dark blue is internal. So we've been hiring pretty steadily as we've seen employees retiring and leaving the district. And the final thing I wanted to report on was one portion of our strategic plan that we are not going to meet in this 10-year plan, and that is we wanted to create a robust internship plan for the district. We just haven't had the resources to do that, but we have put that into the next 5-year plan. We have some budget around it, and we've got a solid plan to get that done within the next year. So we're going to push that forward to the next 5-year plan. And that's all I have for goal 5. So I'll turn it over to Laura for goal 6.
Before you go,
yes,
directors, any questions, comments? Director Till.
I just want to, I'm pretty sure you've heard it, or if you have not, I just want to remind you that I'm working with San Diego County Water Authority to create a pipeline for water, and we're going to be targeting San Diego State University eventually, because I am faculty at Cuyamaca. I'd like to also expand it, obviously, with the program at Cuyamaca. So just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Sure, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Laura.
Director Pomeroy.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I know I'm not on the camera right now. So apparently when we cut out last time, one of the our customers online said it looked like Director Till was asking the question of Mark, and they might not have captured that. So he's asking if it could be repeated.
It's probably about the recycled water, purple pipe.
Yeah, I think that was the only question asked.
Okay.
So is that's captured in our meeting, correct?
They didn't hear it.
Oh, they didn't hear it.
They didn't hear it. So I didn't hear it because we were troubleshooting. So someone could just convey what that.
Want me to start with the question, or you can summarize?
Sure.
It was a very basic question. So all I wanted to ask was, it was in the last meeting of the report that Reclaim Water, that we are not it's not that we're cost effective. Maybe Alan, you can come up with a better word for it, but we're not reclaiming our true costs. And I wanted to know if there was anything that Mark was presenting to assist with that.
Yeah, so you're accurate in that we were looking at the purple pipe system from a long-term sustainability standpoint, because we are recouping our costs, so we're good there. The question is, does it make sense now that we're treating recycled water to a higher level to have 2 parallel systems? And
that was a brilliant answer.
Yeah, so
that's what I was kind of looking for.
And while while the project, the AWP project, is just considering the 3 sources right now, we as a district are thinking about that purple pipe system and what it looks like. In fact, we're going to actually have some information available as we go through the cost of service study, and some ideas there that you're going to hear more about that. But good question, and it's something that we're looking at.
Fabulous answer. Thank you very much.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. I'm Laura Koval, and I'm the Director of Park and Recreation at Santee Lakes. And I think I might be the last on this portion. Hopefully I'm not too tall and the camera doesn't die. So starting off with 6.6.1, develop and train staff. So Ray Bach has been promoted to a lead position and is gaining knowledge in our aquaculture and lake maintenance. Right now, our staff expert is our supervisor, Greg Even, and we want to really up-train somebody to be as knowledgeable as he is. Greg's been doing lake maintenance for 20 years, but Ray's been with us since high school, and he started at the boat dock and in the general store, and you'll see Ray with one of his many feathered friends. If he doesn't have a butterfly on his nose or a turtle in his hand, he has a duck in his arms. So he's amazing, and we're just so happy that Ray has moved up in the organization. 6.3.1, improve awareness of Santee Lakes. A lot of people, it's just still amazing to hear people say, I didn't know it was here. They've grown up here. So we've done advertising, 2 new things, advertising with iHeartRadio using KGB, and you can see Clint August there. He came out and did a radio program out there, and then also filmed several radio media spots for Santee Lakes. came out and fished on the shoreline, enjoyed did fish, lots of things. And then Santee TV did this series. We did show one of those videos at a park committee meeting with Rob and Richard exercising at the park, and that was narrated by Rob, but there were several, and they're on Santee TV. The latest one is recognizing our Park of the Year award. And then finally, 6.2.2, expand general store product variety. Now that we have a brand new general store, we wanted to make sure it looked new and exciting. So here are some of the merchandise that we're selling: snacks, camping merchandise, souvenir cups, and we have a new retro candy section that's doing very well. I just think when people are camping, they like the old school stuff. So it's doing very well as well. Any questions?
Any questions, board? Director Till.
Can you go back 2 slides? I think it's to where Ray is. There he is. So I just want to point out, I'm so proud of him, but that particular species of duck, and I can't remember what it is, but that's one of our migratory waterfowl that come in. And that's what's so wonderful about Santee Lakes is we are a major stopover in the Pacific Flyway between the Arctic Circle and the Antarctic Circle. So I get very happy, like Ray does, when the different species come in and land and spend their time here. So
it's great. And this duck was injured, so Ray cuddled him up and took him to Project Wildlife.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you told me that story. That's so wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, General Manager.
Yeah, then I just wanted to point out that the other good news about that species, unlike the pelicans, they don't eat all of our fish.
I know.
That's
very true.
Nature. Yeah, I was going to wait till director's comments, but since you're standing there, I understand the parks won some awards recently.
Yes, we
community.
Yes, we have.
If I've got them right, the East County Californian, you won 3 awards or the park won 3 awards. Silver Star, best place to walk and jog. Gold Star, best camping. Gold Star, best fishing. And then at the East County Honors, the Environmental Stewardship Award.
Yes.
So on my behalf and on behalf of the
board, really big.
Yeah.
That was a
please, yeah, you were the table on that one. Please let staff know how proud we are of them and the great work that's done there at the lakes. So
thank you.
Congratulations on all 4.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions, board members, before we move on? Anything? Amy, do we have any comments from the public?
Let me check. There's no one with hands raised. So no, we do not.
No, this was an informational report only. There was no action required. We will now move on to action agenda item number 3. Consider amendments to district standard practices and policies, setting a new time for regular board meetings and establishing a set time for public hearings pursuant to Proposition 218 for water and sewer rates, and consider changes to standing committee meetings. Our first presenter is Alan Carlisle, CEO, General Manager. Alan?
Yeah. And board members, yes, at the February 16th board meeting, the board directed staff to consider impacts to employees and the district operations if the board meetings were moved back 30 minutes to 4 p.m. And so we began kind of taking a look at this, analyzing it. It became clear very early on that such a minor change, 30 minutes, is not impactful. The impacts would be de minimis, as the report says. We're able to adjust work schedules as needed, as mitigation. And I don't anticipate any material negative impacts to our operation or the employees. So bottom line is staff is good with moving it back. While it wasn't discussed directly at the February 16th board meeting, staff would also like to recommend that all of the standing committees, or at least the board consider that all of the standing committees be moved to 4 o'clock too. That wasn't discussed or requested, but those meetings are all meeting early. And in order to have full participation from all of the board members, it might be necessary to move those as well. The uniformity would also create a consistency with all our meetings across the board. In addition, staff would like to, or the board to consider aligning all of the standing committees in terms of their frequency. So currently all of the board meetings, standing committees meet on a quarterly basis, with the exception of the park. The park meets monthly. And as many of you know, some of those meetings are really short. I think we had a record of 15 minutes. I don't know if it was last month or not. So the amount of information that can be provided, I think a quarterly system makes more sense from that perspective. So we'd like the board to consider that. And again, this would bring the park in alignment with all of the other standing committees to work on a quarterly basis. And finally, we think it's appropriate to, and this is mentioned in the board agenda item as well, to memorialize our current practice of holding all public hearings related to rate adjustments to 6 p.m. And memorialize that in our standard practices and policies. While again, it is our current practice, it's not currently written into our administrative policy. We think that might make sense now. So those are the items for the agenda. But before we move on and for the board's consideration, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things related to transparency. This topic brought up our ability to reach out to the community, and a later time could most likely facilitate more community involvement. And I think that's fantastic. I wanted to point a few things out. Padre has gone to great lengths to reach our customers and engage them. We have an exceptional communications department. One of the things, just some examples. Recently, we did a complete overhaul of our customer bill. It used to be lumped all into one, so you couldn't tell what your sewer bill was compared to your water. Really difficult to understand and read, and we spent a good chunk of time, pulling that apart and putting it back together so that our customers could really understand what they're paying for. Another example is Aquahawk. We're one of the few agencies in the county that offers an automatic meter reading program. Customers are able to see how much water they're using, when they're using it, and it comes right to their phone, right to their computer, right into their home. And so it helps with conservation, helps with their education on how their water is being used. And the good news on that is 58% of our customers are signed up for that program. That's an amazing stat. E-billing is another example. 70% of our customers are on e-billing. That means we have direct access to them at a moment's notice through email. And we do use that for reaching out to them. We also use social media platforms for outreach, Instagram, Facebook. We use direct email. During our strategic plan, Melissa mentioned that we were able to engage 640 customers in our strategic planning process this time. That's more than all of the strategic planning process engagement that we've had in the past 3 plans. Did that because the world has changed. They're engaging online, engaging differently. And so, we are looking at engagement a little bit differently than we did pre-COVID. The last thing I wanted to tell you about and remind the board and the community is that through the California Special Districts Association, they have a program for accreditation. And Padre Dam is one of 10, only 10 in the state of California special districts, that has earned the highest accreditation and transparency level. It's called the platinum level. And that's out of 3,500 special districts in the state of California. We're one of 10, and we were one of the first 5 that achieved that accreditation. And that involves additional training for staff, for board members, public outreach, document and business transparency policies, all of which we fully comply with and have been a leader in that area in the county of San Diego. So we recognize that the new way society engages is primarily in response to COVID and how the world has changed. And so to further this transparency, at the next Admin and Finance Committee, you're going to hear a report about seeking guidance from the board on continuing the live streaming. We had some issues today, but we'll work those out. But continuing this as a means to engage the public and keep them in tune with what's happening here at Padre Dam. And then also making those recordings of the proceedings available to the community as soon after that meeting as possible. So if for some reason they can't be a part of this meeting, they're able to access it and see it on the recording. So making those links available on our website as soon as the meeting's over, as soon as possible. So those are some of the things that we're going to be bringing forward to the board for consideration at the next finance and admin. And again, it's a furtherance of our effort to be transparent. So again, we recognize the world has changed in terms of professional gatherings, collaborations, business functions, public participation and engagement. And perhaps this combination of live streaming, providing more content on our website, providing the recordings on our website will go further in that regard. People do engage and gather information differently, and we just want you to know as a staff, we're here ready to make the changes necessary to meet our customers where they are in this post-COVID world. So with that, I'll turn it over to any questions about the agenda item. The recommendation is to adopt an ordinance amending the standard practices policies, section 14, district administration policy, setting the time for the regular board meeting held on the first and third Wednesday of each month at 4 p.m. and setting 6 p.m. as the start time for public hearings held pursuant to Prop 218 for water and sewer rates. And then number 2 is to consider changing the board's standing committee meetings times to 4 o'clock as well, and then changing the frequency of the monthly park committee meetings. Our recommendation is to quarterly, but we'd like to get guidance from the board.
Before I take questions from the board, Amy, do we have any written or verbal comments on this item?
Didn't receive any written comments, so I'm checking the platform to see if anyone's raised their hand. There are no public comments.
No public comments. Okay, Director Wilson.
Done.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
Just received one.
Okay,
Bonnie Price. I'm gonna,
we do have one comment, Doug.
Bonnie Price, I'm unmuting you now. You'll need to unmute on your side. Bonnie, can you hear me? I've unmuted you. It shows you're self-muted. If by chance you don't have audio on the device you're listening from, you can submit a comment and I can read it aloud for you if you like. Okay. We have another speaker. So
sure.
Bonnie, if you can, if you're having problems within the platform, you could also email me. You have my email address. Janet Garvin, I'm going to unmute you now.
Thank you very much for responding for the overwhelming support from the public from the last meeting for changing the time for this meeting. I appreciate your response. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate it.
Okay, let me check my email real quick. Still don't have anything in the platform for Ms. Price. I don't have an email from her, and she, oh, hold on. She's got a question. Oh, so Ms. Price just says, thanks for making the changes.
Okay, appreciate that. Director Wilson, back to you, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you. If the president is agreeable, I would suggest we separate number 1 and 2 for consideration. And if you agree with that, I'd like to make a motion to adopt number 1 to start with.
Okay, yes, since you and I were the ones that made the motion originally, I have no problems agreeing with you to handle number 1 and 2 separately. I have a motion for approval of item number 1, adopt an ordinance amending standard practices and policies, section 14, district administration policy, setting the time for regular board meetings held on the first and third Wednesday of each month at 4 p.m. and setting 6 p.m. as the start time for public hearings held pursuant to Proposition 218 for water and sewer rates. Having a first and a second, any questions? Director Till.
No questions. I was going to second.
Okay. First by Director Wilson, second by me. Are there any questions or comments, other directors? Amy, if you please call the roll.
Director Karas?
Yes.
Director Wilson?
Yes.
Director Peasley?
Yes.
Director Till?
A grateful yes.
And Director Pomeroy?
Yes. Director Wilson, would you care to make a second motion?
Yes, first I'd like to make a comment about number 2. I want to say that I fully support the concept of making all the committees quarterly at 4 o'clock, including the park committee, noting actually what staff already noted, that some of those park committees are very short, 15 minutes, as short as 15 minutes, and yet they take a lot, several hours of staff time to do it. And I think one of the things that's usually presented at the park committee meetings is the monthly financial report. And I suggest that could be moved to the regular board meeting on a note and file basis monthly, so that could continue and still have a quarterly, report from staff on that item. So I know we've got used to meeting at the park committee monthly. It goes back some time. And I think it made sense in the past, given the dynamic vision plan, implementation. We've got through a lot of those steps. And like all other committees, if there's a need for more frequent committee meetings, we can have it. So having said that, I would also move item 2 to make all committees quarterly meetings and start at 4 p.m.
I would second that. Again, just clarifying with General Manager, staff has the ability to have more than one meeting on a committee or more often if they need it.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so having a motion made and seconded for considering changing the board standing committee meetings to start at 4 p.m. and changing the frequency of the monthly park committee meeting to be in the rotation with others. If there are no other questions, Amy, please call for the vote.
Director Peasley?
Yes.
Director Till?
Yes.
Director Wilson?
Yes.
Director Karas?
Yes.
And Director Pomeroy?
Yes, and one thing I'm not certain of, when will this take effect? Will this take effect, I'm assuming April 1st?
The ordinance is written to take effect immediately for the.
Oh, immediately? I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Okay, that's fine. Immediately is fine.
Board's desire.
Anyone have objections to immediately? So the next board meeting, okay, very good. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't catch that, my bad. Moving on to item number 4, ratification of memorandums of understanding with Padre Dam Employees Association and Mid-Management and Confidential Employees Association, and approval of subsequent changes within Section 11 of the district standard practices and policies. You're already there, Lisa. It's you.
So I wanted to go through a brief presentation today to discuss the ratification. And first, I wanted to start by telling you a little bit about the negotiations process. In July of 2021, the board appointed an ad hoc committee of Director Karas and Director Pomeroy to sit on the negotiations committee. In August of 2021, we provided a historical overview of past negotiations and the current MOU to the board, so they had a good starting point. And then in October through December, the ad hoc committee, along with staff here and the general manager and assistant general manager, had multiple meetings with the PDA and MMCA. Those are our 2 employee associations. The intent of the negotiations for us this year was to expedite negotiations in preparation for our new budget cycle and the 5-year business plan. And with 2 goals, really. One, to make sure that whatever plan we came up with was financially sustainable and would allow us to continue to attract and recruit the talent we need to run the district. And then in February of 2022, both the PDA and MMCA members voted to ratify the new MOU. Legal counsel also reviewed the MOU for us as well. And then today I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the new MOU provisions and present them to you so that we can hopefully ratify the MOUs today. I'm having trouble with the clicker. A new term of the MOU, it is a 5-year MOU, hopefully to be in alignment with our new 5-year business plan, which will run from July 1st of 2022 through June 30th of 2027. There were 3 changes that were made in alignment with just the cost of doing business today. And so those were the uniform allowance for staff, the safety shoe allowance for staff, and then the meal allowance during overtime. Those were all slightly increased to reflect current day costs of those items. We removed the health insurance trigger from the MOU, and that trigger was that when our insurance got to a certain level of cost, that we could reopen the MOU and discuss that with the PDA and MMCA. We did remove the trigger. However, we still have the option of reopening the MOU. There is language in the MOU that allows us to reopen if indeed costs shoot up and we have are being faced with costs that we're not budgeted for. The next 2 changes have to do with our part-time employees. We wanted to put a cap on their vacation and sick accrual because we depend on our part-time employees to operate in important places like the park, and they need their staff to be here. So we capped their vacation and accrual. They will now earn 1 hour per 30 hours worked, up to a maximum of 48 hours, which is still a very generous benefit. Not a lot of employers offer part-time accruals, so this is still very generous. And in capping the vacation and sick, that we agreed to start their starting pay 50 cents above minimum wage after July 1st. So that's kind of the give and take there. And then finally, the largest portion of our MOU is the cost of living increases, and these are going to be fixed at 3.25% for the next 5 years. We also did a lot of cleanup language, which is just going through the MOU and really clarifying to make sure everything is understood from both parties. And then I also want to mention that throughout negotiations and in response to the board's proposal, the PDA and the MMCA associations really worked with us as business partners, which I think is a really nice reflection of our workforce partnership. So I just wanted to mention that. In alignment with the MOU is the standard practices and policies. A lot of what's in the MOU is also in the standard practices. So I'm also presenting to you in the board agenda item today all the changes in the standard practices to match the MOU. The one thing that is not a direct match is section 11.16.2 on certification bonuses. In the standard practices, it states that certifications will be reevaluated periodically. We haven't done it for over 10 years, so we figured right now it might be periodic. So we actually formed an employee lateral on this one that was made up of PDA and employees and management. We actually reached out to other agencies to see what other agencies were doing for bonus certifications. And based on that research, we felt that our bonus certification program was sufficient. We did not feel the need to make any changes to the dollar amounts for the bonuses. However, we did expand the list to cover some new certifications, such as the advanced water purification certification for the AWP. And then we removed some certifications that were just kind of outdated or no longer critical to our operation. So that change is also reflected in the standard practices. So today I have 3 recommendations, and they are coming up here any minute. Okay. The first is
Oh, don't break the system.
so fast. The first one is to adopt the resolution approving the MOU between Padre Dam and the Padre Dam Employees Association, which is the PDEA, for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2027. The second one is similar, but it's between Padre Dam and the Mid-Management and Confidential Employees Association, the MMCA, for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th of 2027. And finally, to adopt an ordinance amending the standard practices and policies, section 11, to reflect the changes identified in the ratified PDA and MMCA MOUs. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Amy, do we have any comments from the public?
Let me check. Verify this one comment is from a previous. We do not have any public comments.
Thank you very much. Directors, any questions? Director Karas.
Yes, no questions, but I'll move approval of those 3 items.
Anyone else?
I'll second.
Director Peasley? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Director Peasley?
I'd be happy to second the motion. I'm glad it's went as smooth as it done. It's a reflection of a relationship between the board, staff, and management. I want to say a job well done. So second the motion wholeheartedly.
Thank you very much. With the motion from Director Karas, second by Director Peasley. If I see no other comments, Amy, will you call the roll, please?
Director Peasley?
Yes.
Director Till?
Yeah.
Director Wilson?
Yes.
Director Karas?
Yes.
And Director Pomeroy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 5, I'm sorry, Mr. Carlisle, sir.
I'm sorry, President Pomeroy. I'm wondering if the board might want to defer items 5 and 6 because of the technical issues that we have, and we still have a closed session item.
I have no problems with that. Any other directors have an issue? We will defer 5 and 6 till the next board meeting. Board reports. County Water Authority, Director Wilson and I submitted written reports and can answer questions. Director Wilson, do you have anything to add to your report?
I'm trying to hit my unmute button. No, nothing to add.
Okay, nothing to add. Metro Commission, Metro Wastewater JPA, Director Peasley.
There was no written report because the meeting is in fact tomorrow at noon.
Okay. Staying with you, Director Peasley, Santee Chamber of Commerce Board meeting. Do you have anything to add to your written report?
I do not. It stands as is. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Anyone have any questions? East County Advanced Water Purification, AWP Joint Powers Authority Board of Directors meeting. Director Wilson and I submitted written reports and can answer any questions if anyone has any. Director Wilson, do you have anything to add to your report?
Nothing to add.
Director Karas, you're our representative from Padre Dam. Do you have anything to add from the meeting?
First of all, I wanted to thank the two of you. You submitted very good reports, and you can see the report of actions in the agenda. And I guess the only thing that I would mention again is the status report on the GMP was presented. It was a very thorough process, and I think that it will serve us well in the future. The guaranteed maximum price, in spite of the fact that there has to be some key strategies incorporated into that. There has to be protections for the unforeseen. Particularly with regard to materials and that kind of thing. But it's a big milestone for us to be pursuing that, and we're hopeful that it comes out in the time frame that's anticipated. That's all I want to report.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the comments. San Diego East County Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs and Infrastructure and Land Use Committee. I submitted a written report, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Other meetings, conferences, events attended by directors per AB 1234. Anyone? Okay, we will move on to director's comments. Director Till?
Yes, I do have comments. So I'm working with my high school students, and here it is right here. This is a baby coast live oak. It's Rio, California, to provide and get our coast live oaks and generate them. And we needed a source of acorns. And what better place, Laura? We went up to the north part of the grove up there, and the acorns produced over Thanksgiving break were just phenomenal. And we harvested them. This one I planted in December, and we have over 100 that we have planted. And the kids were great because we had no money. So we decided to recycle single-use plastic water bottles. And the second one I have, and you're welcome to look at it, this is one, you can't see it, but when it sprouts, it comes out bright red. It's beautiful. But these are very drought-tolerant plants. And this was hard for the kids because they had to wait 2 months for anything to come up, because what it's doing is establishing its root structure, and it's pretty well established there. The kids are now in the process of completing this. We're not sure what we're going to do with them yet because we didn't know if anything would sprout, but we have very good quality acorns at Santee Lakes. Let me just say this too. Sonoma State University did this a few years ago. This is the first high school in the world, I told them, that is attempting this. And the kids are really, really proud about that. So at some point, I think I would like to have a meeting with you when, at some point with this, what we're going to do with these folks. And I'll bring up the results in another meeting, but we are also participating in Metropolitan Water Districts of Southern California's Solar Cup Challenge. And the kids are having a blast. And I'm doing it this year just to see what it's like and to fine tune it. And then I'd like to eventually present it to get high schools within our service area involved. We are right now the only County of San Diego high school participating in it. I don't know what happened with that. I don't know why there wasn't more outreach, and I'm not blaming anybody, but it is an amazing challenge. I don't want to go into the details of it now. I'll talk about it a little bit later, and that's something else that we're working on. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Till. Director Peasley, any comments?
I do not, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Karras?
No, none.
Director Wilson?
No comments.
I would like to just make two quick comments. One is that, just for everyone's knowledge, Friday is National Employee Appreciation Day. It's the first Friday in March every year. And I just wanted to, I'm sure on behalf of the board, but if not, at least on my behalf, tell all of our employees how appreciated they are. We just happen to be in a business where I guess if we don't interface with the people we serve, then we've done a great job. It's a little different than most businesses where you're seeing the people you serve all the time. We're not that. A little different for the park lar, that's different. But for the rest of us, they never see it, really have great interchange with our employees. But I want you to know how much you're appreciated, and whether the community realizes it or not, they do appreciate the work that's being done. So congratulations to all of you. And one thing Alan said, I would just like to remind my fellow board members, the CSDA process for being a district of distinction, especially at the level we're at, requires a lot of work and a lot of training on behalf of all staff. But for board members, and I'm assuming, I think the renewal comes up later this year, but there will be at least 2 days of training for all board members that'll be required for us to renew that certificate of distinction. So be aware that you'll need to accommodate your schedules for that. If they do it like they did the last time, they'll hold 2 full days in San Diego, and we will need to participate in that at the board level. Staff and management people will have already done their training prior to that. So keep that in mind. District Council's report. Paula, if you're there.
I am. I will defer my report till next month or next meeting.
Thank you. General Manager's report.
Yeah, just real quickly, at the last board meeting when staff presented the redistricting item, there were several questions. We're responding to those questions, and at the next hearing, which is coming up at the following board meeting, we'll respond to those questions. But one of the things that we did was we put, using our GIS, we put the maps on our website. So go to our homepage at the very bottom. Folks can zoom in right onto their parcel. They can search their parcel and find out if they're in an area that might be changed or might not. So it's really a useful tool. I think it accomplishes the goal of getting access to these maps to our constituents. So anyway, it's there, it's available. And then, as I mentioned, we are going to answer those other questions that came up during the last board meeting too. So
perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah. Last item, informational reports. There's 2 informational reports for note and file. The Park Committee special board meeting minutes of January 26th, 2022, and the Finance and Treasurer's report for the 1 month ended January 31st, 2022. And Paula, if you will take us into closed session, please.
Yes, I will. The board will be going into closed session to discuss one item of anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9, One case, it's a claim by Team C regarding the General Store Administration Building and Teen Center renovation project.
Hey, board members, Director Wilson, Director Wilson.
I just wanted to correct a statement you read. It's a finance and treasurer's report for the 7 months ended, not the one ending.
Okay,
Oh, come on.
thank you for that. Did I read that wrong, Amy?
No, it was.
Okay, thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. Let's take 5 minutes, board members, and we'll come back in closed session.
And if I may state, for members of the public participating virtually, it'll be quiet for you all, but then open session will return for a report of any action taken in closed session.
It'll be quiet on purpose.
Yes, on purpose.
Amy?
Hello, everybody. We're here today
Good morning, everyone. The Engineering and Operations Committee meeting is now called to order. As you know, we're conducting the Engineering and Operation Committee meeting in a virtual setting to help protect everyone's health during the coronavirus outbreak. Melinda.
Excellent. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Water Planning and Environmental Committee meeting for February 24th, 2022. As we discuss the items on the agenda today, I will be calling on directors to raise hands to speak. Please limit your comments to matters not already addressed and state all your points when you have a chance to speak so we can move through the agenda. Melinda, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Chair Preciado.
Twenty-one. Thank you.